They told you education is the key. They said, go to school. But why are so many graduates purposeless and jobless? On EduShift, we spot the cracks. We challenge the educational system. Torn between science, arts, and commerce, we bring clarity and answers to your questions, and we light up the path for a generation ready to stand out. Come enjoy discussions with educators, employers, and counselors. Let us fix this problem of career misalignment and help you discover yourself. EduShift, only on Global TV.
Hello there, and welcome to another episode of EduShift, where we help you shift towards education that aligns with purpose. I am your host, Priscilla Obasi, and today, before we begin, let us watch something together. Now, as we watch that, I want you to think deeply, not just about the joy on the faces, but about what it took them to get there, what shaped them, what guided them, what values carried them through. Here's the video.
Action bita 25. Yeah, copy when Mr. Ikosa. Daro fún ẹni gbósà tó wá ṣe bí onígbàna. Ọ̀rọ̀ tí ó kọ̀ọ̀kan ọlọ́yọ̀ dáadáa. Wọ́n ní kò ṣe bí ológo. Nígbà máa ṣe bí olófo.
Ironic, right? Okay, so this video I saw on the internet, and when I came across it, one thing came to my mind. What kind of children are we raising? I mean, just the other day, I saw a video of some students having some kind of extracurricular activity where staff of the schools were there and maybe parents were also there. And then children dancing in a manner that is not so appropriate with their principal or head of school or whatever he was. And it just got me thinking, how did we get here? Now, I understand that there is something called the joy of graduation, the excitement of achievement, and the celebration of success. But can we ask a deeper question? Beneath that celebration, what kind of children are we raising? Behind all these moments, what kind of children are we raising? Because education is not just about graduation. It's about character formation. And that brings us to the topic of today, raising children with values, the shared responsibility of both parents and schools. I know you've heard charity begins at home. I know you've also heard the school is not supposed to be a place of learning academics, but a place where character is molded. Let me tell you a story. A teacher once asked a group of students a simple question. What do you want to be in future? One said doctor, another said engineer, one said lawyer, and another said pilot. And then she asked another question. But who do you want to be? And there was silence. Nobody answered because we have trained children to think about careers, but not character. We've trained them to chase success, but not values. And that is where the problem begins. Because a child can become a doctor, but still lack integrity. A child can become an engineer, but still lack discipline. A child can become successful, but still lacks value. And today we are asking, who is responsible for raising the child? Not just the successful child, but the balanced child. Is it the parent? Is it the school? Or is it both? Now let's start from the home where value begins. As they say, charity begins at home. Every child is born into a home before they ever think of going into a classroom. And that is why we're starting with the home. And in that home, the first teachers are not the lecturers. They are the parents. A child actually learns respect, honesty, discipline, empathy, not from textbooks, but from observation. Raising a child is a tough job. A tough job where you have to make yourself an example indeed. Sometimes it doesn't come so easy. Sometimes you have to drop your ego. Sometimes you have to, just live selflessly, not for anyone else. Not because it's pleasant, but because you're mindful of your child. Because a child watches how a parent or parents speak to each other, how they treat neighbors, how they handle conflict, how they respond to challenges, and unconsciously, they absorb it. So when we say, where did this child get this behavior from? Or where did this child learn this from? Sometimes the answer is not in school, but it is at home. Because children don't always do what we say. They do what they see. So I am appealing to every parent watching this. We need to do better. We need to be conscious, extra conscious, put ourselves behind, and raise a future. Raise our children that we'll be proud of tomorrow. Now let's go to the school, right? It's also part of it. School is a place where we shape the minds of students and we structure it. So schools are actually powerful environments, but they do not only teach us subjects. They shape discipline. They introduce structure to our lives. They expose children to teamwork, to leadership, responsibility, and accountability. A good school doesn't just ask, did you pass? It asks, how did you behave while learning? Education is not just academics. Over and over again, we've established that on EduShift. It is also social. But here is where the challenge comes in. Some schools focus heavily on exams, grades, ranking, and all of that, but that is not enough. They do not focus enough on moral development, on emotional intelligence, on character building. It's easy to say these things. It's easy to say it. But in reality, it takes a lot of discipline, and we cannot deny that fact. When all of that happens, when we're able to put ourselves in that space and place, we're able to produce smart children, not because, it's not necessarily wise children, right? Yes, but smart children. So there's a difference, a smart child and a wise child. We'll understand all of that. Now, the gap when home and school stop talking. So this means that there indeed needs to be synergy between the home and the school. From the video we watched earlier, you see students raising up axes, celebrating graduation. And I just wonder how graduation went from being a positive celebration to something as negative as what we saw. How did we get there? How did we get there? How did we normalize things like this? You can argue and say this has always been a thing, it's not new, but we must call wrong. And I really want to appeal to the relevant authorities on this very video. The Ministry of Education, the Lagos State, I think this incident happened in Lagos. So relevant authorities in the education sector must look into this. If this has been an occurrence, if this has been a thing in time past, they must step in and make it a thing of the past. Because you're not just trying to halt, you're not going to bring in policies that, halt celebrations and all of that. No. You bring in creative ways and positive ways students can actually celebrate, because celebration is part of life. Celebrate your successes and your wins. It makes you a healthy person. But doing it in a manner as such is condemnable. Let's talk about the gap when the school and the home stopped working. Now, one of the biggest challenges in raising children today is the home and the school are not always aligned. Sometimes in the home, the father and the mother are not always aligned. We're going to talk about that because That is a lot. A child may be taught discipline at home. At school, the child is exposed to different kinds of behaviors, right? Values are taught sometimes at home. Maybe at school, they are not reinforced, or vice versa. And when there is no alignment, the child becomes confused. Confusion leads to inconsistency, and that inconsistency affects behavior. That is why some children behave one way at home and completely different at school. Have you seen such a situation if you're a teacher? A parent comes to you and says, "Oh, I didn't know my child can do this. I didn't know my child can do this." Or you report a situation to that parent about a child or people you've observed in school, and the parent is like, "No, that's not my child." It can be true. It can be true, depending on the environment, the different environment, and the factors, right? So, there should be a unified system. Essentially, that's what we're saying. There should be synergy between the home front and the school front. There should be that space that merges, that unifies values from the home front and the school front. Now, the child who had everything but no values. Okay, let me tell you another story. A young, brilliant boy was top of his class. I mean, extremely brilliant. He always won awards. Teachers praised him. Parents were proud of him. But as he grew older, something began to change. He became dishonest in small things, then bigger things. Then he started cutting corners. Then he started manipulating situations. And eventually, his intelligence was no longer enough to sustain him, because success without value is fragile, very fragile. And that's the reality many people don't talk about. We're raising intelligent children. We see them doing well, maybe from childhood, and we remove every other kind of, let me not call it pressure, but expectation, character-wise, because we feel like intelligence is enough. So we leave a child to misbehave because they're smart in school. I mean, at the end of the day, they'll still come first in their class. So we can excuse every other bad behavior, but that's not a balanced child. You don't want to raise such a child. So we need to be intentional about raising principled children. There is a reason why I think value is declining. And let's be honest, also, values are weakening. Why are values weakening? Number one is the pressure for success. Everyone wants results quickly. Some parents are training their children to take over dreams that they never pursued and feel like that is what they would have done to give them the success. So because I didn't do it, my child has to do it to give me the desired success. You will be shocked, but there are lots of parents that train their children to come take care of them. Like literally, as young as 10, 15, 20, you're already grooming your child to come lift financial burdens from you. You're looking for the fastest way they can cut corners and come and help you. I don't know what to say about such parents, but if you are in this category, you need to think deeply. You need to think deeply, because you're raising a half-baked child that will become a time bomb, a ticking time bomb. That's what you're raising. That will come back to you, maybe in full blast. You have to be very careful. Number two reason is we tend to, maybe some parents tend to want to focus on academics, right? So they focus on grades than character. And just like we say, that is a half-baked child. The number 3 point is reduced parental presence. Busy schedules, limits guidance. Now understand that the economy is tough. Everybody is on the go. Everybody wants to make ends meet. But when you see situations like this on the internet, you just want to blame the parents. And some people want to defend, no, you can raise a child and at the end of the day, the child chooses their path. Now, this is an unintentional negligence that can also happen in negligent parenting. That's why it's always advised to train children that you can cater for, you can connect to emotionally. Because sometimes negligence can do so much bad. So you are supposed to be very in tune with your child's character as they unfold. But because you are not concentrated, because you're distracted, you have maybe a lot of children, you're not able to connect with it. And a child is trying to exhibit a particular trait that you're not used to. But you're not able to pick it as fast as you can because your hands are full. You're on the grind. You are focused on money. Yes, money is important, but you don't want to have all the money and spend that money on pursuing, your mistakes, trying to remedy your mistakes in a child. You don't want to be there. So the solution is balance. Create balance. Have time for everything. There's time for work. There's time to connect. You don't have to do it always 2/7. No. As little as 10 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour with your child intentionally can give you a result that will speak for you in the long run. Number 4 is influence of environment and the media. Yes, we're in the internet age. Children are exposed to things from the media. You have to guard what your children are watching. You have to monitor. Monitor and monitor and monitor. Yes, the children should be your friend. They should be able to confide in you. And that's one way to also guide them, because you cannot guide what you don't know. So you need to know what's happening in their lives before you guide them. And the only way to do that is by connecting with them, by being friends with them. That way you can really guide them. Number 5 is the lack of structured value education. Now, many systems teach knowledge and not ethics. And slowly, we begin to prioritize achievement over behavior. Success should mean when you're able to get the money in the bag. And when you don't have integrity, nobody even questions you, because, you can pay through everything. No. Uneducated will raise children with values. Now, the shared responsibility model. Let's talk about it. There is a shared responsibility model. Let's be clear. It's not about blaming the school. It's not about blaming the parent. It's about how they can collaborate. Because raising a child requires, have you heard sayings like, it takes a community to raise a child? Yes. So it requires the effort of everyone, the home, consistency, being an example, being disciplined, love. Very, very, very important. For the school, the part of structure comes in from the school. Your child is able to adjust to a timing or routine that allows them to wake up in the morning, go to school, give them home fun or assignments, depending on what you call it, and, have them return back to school, have extracurricular activities. All of this is structure. The school also should provide guidance, right? The school provides reinforcement. It should provide accountability. Now, when both teams work together, we're able to now raise balanced children and not just intelligent children. What do our children need? If you are serious about raising children with value, then children actually need role models, not just instructors. This is the part where it hits hard on parents and guardians. Yes, you don't just need guidance. You don't just need instruction. You need guidance. You don't just need punishment. You also need a framework that corrects, right? They need conversation and not just commands. We need to know the difference, because values are not taught in one lesson. They're actually built daily. Now, what can we do? We've given lots of solutions. But for parents, let me reemphasize and paraphrase, summarize. Be present. Lead by example. Reinforce values daily. And number 4, communicate regularly. For schools, what do you need to do? Integrate character education. We need something like that in our educational syllabus. Reward integrity. A child does a thing, they don't lie, they show you that they are being truthful, reward it. All of this value system should be rewarded so that they understand that this is rare And this is gold. Now create value-based system. Teach your teachers beyond academics. You should not employ teachers who are just book smart. They should model right character for our children. And society also has its own part to play. Society must learn how to celebrate good behavior, must correct wrong behavior, and we must learn to redefine success. Success is holistic. We shouldn't dissect it, and when we see that people have money, we celebrate them. No. Because a society that celebrates only achievement eventually will struggle with character. Now, before we wrap up, let's go for the edutainment segment. We'll come back and wrap up the show. Please don't go anywhere. This is my favorite part of the show.
Time on EduShift.
I am not pregnant. I did not take in.
The doctor say you carry what?
Avascular leukosis of the right leg.
The phrase take in has nothing to do with getting pregnant. The phrase take in means to receive or absorb information.
How? How are you telling me this?
It also means to visit and see a place.
It also means to admit or allow entry.
Mama, you gave life to me, to you.
Take in is a phrasal verb. It has several meanings, but it does not mean getting pregnant.
During testimony in church, don't you dare ever say, Pastor, I took it.
It's meant to take care of people. You go to the lab, you test some engineering, you take their blood.
Ouch!
Do you want to get pregnant or do you want to take in? Choose wisely.
Who do you want the baby to resemble?
You.
It's
You.
Is it?
You.
When I was spanked, I felt really depressed.
Being spanked, especially on your glute, is more detrimental to children because it can get you traumatized. Let me just tell you one thing. Being traumatized is not a good feeling. Every small sound you hear, you're afraid. Every small feeling you feel, you're afraid. I agree with both of them. Being spanked on your glute is much more painful. The reason is because when you get shouted at, it's just telling you, it's like a warning that we are soon going to spank you.
I just ran to my room and I felt like my mom.
Fantastic, fantabulous, wonderful. Thank you very much for still being here with us. Our kids are doing fantastic. Now we're still talking raising children with values, the shared responsibility of parents and schools. Let me leave you with this thought. A child is not just a student. A child is not just a future professional. A child is a future citizen, and we must see them as such. And the kind of citizens we raise will determine the kind of nation we'll build, because education without value produces intelligence without direction. But education with values produces purposeful human beings. This is where we draw the curtains. I hope you have been inspired on today's episode. Make sure you share this with every single parent and every single student you can think of. I want to say thank you for joining me today on Edu Shift. I still remain your host, Priscilla Obasi. And remember, we don't just raise successful children. We must raise good children. See you on the next one, and bye for now.
They told you education is the key. They said, go to school. But why are so many graduates purposeless and jobless? On Edu Shift, we spot the cracks. We challenge the educational system. Torn between science, arts, and commerce, we bring clarity and answers to your questions, and we light up the path for a generation ready to stand out. Come enjoy discussions with educators, employers, and counselors. Let us fix this problem of career misalignment and help you discover yourself. Edu Shift, only on Global TV.